Aston Villa quite brilliantly battled their way into the Premier League top four last season to guarantee Champions League football. You think that was the hard work? The hard work has just begun. Can Aston Villa stay in the top four this coming season, 24-25? And even more long term, can they establish themselves as one of the big six or seven? Take someone's place, extend it out. Can Villa break through the glass ceiling? You can have your say immediately after this show has gone up. We'll put a poll up on the channel. It'll look something like that. And it'll say, will Aston Villa finish inside the Premier League top four in 24-25? Go and vote. Very, very simple. Click on yes or no. And you can explain further down here in the comments how you have voted. So, what does the historical context say? Let's do the bad news first before we say lots of positive things about Villa's last few years and their manager and their players. The historical context says it's really, really hard to get into the top four. And by definition, therefore, it's even harder to stay there. I had a look back just doing my research for this video, and I went back and back and back and back, expecting to see a few examples of, can I have a look and see what happened when a team did break into the top four that wasn't in the established kind of big six. There's just no examples. Newcastle before Villa last season. I mean, so you can argue that's 2 seasons in a row someone's done it. So flip that on its head. But taking Villa out of the equation themselves, because they're trying to set a new example, the Villa fans will hope, you then have to go all the way back to the freak season of all freak seasons and Leicester City winning the thing in 2015-16. Now, for the purposes of this conversation, I'm going to kind of disregard Leicester. I know they did get a couple of 5th place finishes thereafter, but we're talking about the top 4, and really that first place thing was just the most lightning in the bottle, and I say this lovingly, freak season we've ever seen. It was brilliant, but it was never going to sustain, was it? The Newcastle one, I guess, lends a little bit more hope to Villa because they got in there, dropped down to 7th, but it does still kind of argue with those numbers that it's bloody hard to get in there and nigh on impossible to stay in there. But let's talk about why Villa might be able to buck the trend. And there is Aston Villa's journey. I'll flip back to that because it's covering my face. We say on this channel, I say on this channel, it's my opinion, I'll take ownership of it, that in football, as in financial circles and even population circles and biology in life, a sharp rise, a steep rise, is pretty much always followed by, you know what, a steep fall. Well, the good news for Villa, as opposed to lots of other examples, is it's not a sharp rise. Over these last 8 seasons since they bottomed out, look at that. 13th in the Championship, first season under Steve Bruce there. 4th, 5th, win the playoffs under Dean Smith. Financial Armageddon predicted if they didn't get over the line, but they did. Up they stay. Grealish keeps them in the division. Cash in. 11th, 14th, 7th, 4th. So essentially, if you do the maths, Villa have added, let's add it up quickly, 13 Championship places plus then 16 Premier League places is 29 over 8 years. It's basically they've gone up on average sort of 3 or 4, it's really crude maths, I know, 3 or 4 places a season, which in terms of sustaining a place in the football pyramid, and obviously I study a lot of Championship stuff where we do get a lot more kind of freak movements, like a Barnsley all of a sudden jumping up into 5th place. Dare I say Ipswich now going back-to-back promotions, jumping from 11th in League One all the way into the Premier League this season. And I'm worrying myself now because I really don't want Ipswich to be subject to a quick fall, but particularly the likes of Barnsley and Huddersfield, who flew up the leagues in one season. Well, they're both in League One now, so you can see how it can flip quickly. Aston Villa haven't done that. They've built slowly since the takeover from, NSWE, if I got them the right way round. Yeah, I have, haven't I? From Dr. Tony, and it's built gradually, hasn't it? And that is sustainable. So that's the good news, because Newcastle, well, that was new money and one season of it, and How sustainable is it going to be? Maybe they're kind of 5 years behind where Aston Villa are, if you look at it that way. Leicester was never sustainable, was it? The next question is, are Aston Villa getting stronger? Because what strikes me is that after you finish in 4th place, you absolutely cannot stand still. You have to then improve, because everybody up there, it's so competitive. No one's making any money. Everyone's just spending. It's a blooming race to the top, isn't it? And you've got to just keep on moving forward. What we can say about Aston Villa that's really positive is they're going for it again in terms of recruitment. They're very busy in the window. And you could tell me in the comments, Onana in central midfield. Douglas Luiz has gone out. Is that an upgrade? I think it might be in terms of a Premier League experience, the younger player as well. I don't know. If you're playing the long game, that looks good to me. Speaking of playing the long game, Iain Mattheson at left back. Is that an upgrade over Lucas Digne? You tell me. I think it might be. And I think, again, playing the long game is smart. And then it looks like Unai Emery has kind of padded out the attacking options. Obviously, Ollie Watkins is the goal getter and the star man, especially after that incredible late England winning goal to take them to the Euro 2024 finals. But adding in the likes of Archer and Philogene, I mean, that feels a bit more squad padding. Can they break their way in? Who knows? You tell me. Illing Jr. and Ross Barkley, maybe there's more of a chance that they can actually get in there. What I think we can sort of confirm is that Villa are probably stronger. Have they taken 4 first-team players and improved every position? No, but they were already good, weren't they? So are Villa getting stronger? I think they possibly are. But then here comes the question, is the competition getting stronger? Now, forgive me, you may not agree with my premise, but my premise is forget the top 2, that Man City and Arsenal are way, way better than everybody else. You can agree or disagree with that premise in the comments if you want. Let's just roll with it for the sake of argument, which then gives you, and I've ruled it off at 8 because there was a big points gap between 8th and 9th. That then gives you 6 teams for 2 places. Now, I think all 6 teams are going to think they can get the 3rd or 4th spot, and with a fair win, can they get near Arsenal or Manchester City, who we think will probably be the top 2, yet again, predictable as that may seem. Now, I guess the good news, if you're Aston Villa, is you can probably explain away all of them if you want, can't you? You can argue that Liverpool have just gone from Klopp to Slot, and he'll do an amazing job if he gets them immediately on it like Klopp had them. Spurs, hate to sound like Alex Ferguson, but lads, it's Spurs. They could finish 2nd or they could finish 9th. You just never know. As a club, they haven't yet shed that kind of veneer of inconsistency, let's just say. Chelsea, Enzo Maresca, watched a lot of Leicester last season. Am I convinced he's going to go straight in there and get them going? No, I don't think so. Pretty chaotic as a club. Newcastle as well, we already mentioned, dropped off from 4th to 7th. And Manchester United, yes, they may be a bigger club than anybody, but it just hasn't been working. And is it immediately going to work under Ineos? So my argument is, look, someone will improve. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm not looking at any of those names if I'm an Aston Villa fan and going, oh, I am terrified of X team, Y team. And I do think it's fairly well open in terms of 6 teams for those 2 places. What I will say, which Villa fans won't like, if you look at the betting, they're 8th out of 8th in those 8 teams. So the market suggests no, and that Villa aren't going to make it. But obviously, we've made plenty of other arguments to say that they could well do. And it would be interesting for us to see it because it's oddly predictable. Otherwise, get your thoughts in via the chat here. Go and vote in the poll. Can Aston Villa maintain top 4 next season? You will notice I haven't mentioned Aston Villa's quite brilliant manager, Unai Emery. That's because I want you to click up there and take a look at my ranking of all the Premier League managers from worst to best, where you will see where I've put Mr. Emery, and that will tell you my opinion on how strong Villa are in the dugout.